Alright, we are back on sports, and let me say that NFL Week 1 has been a great week. It has been a great week for the NFL. It has. From Thursday to up to, yesterday, it has been nothing but a bunch of close games that are almost giving people heart attacks, and I like to see that. I mean, Giants, Cowboys, the Panthers game was close. What was it? Indianapolis game was close. I want to give the Ravens game was close. I want to give a shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they played their hearts out. They did. You got to give them some credit. You really have to. But of course, we need to move on to Eagles-Browns. That's what we need to do, all right? Now, let's keep it in perspective here, people, all right? They are the Browns. They're the Cleveland Browns. There's no doubt about that. You should know who you're going up against. The defense really isn't that great. It's not. Even though they got some all-pros on that team, I believe, they're just not that good. They're not. And I'm going to break this down really easily. So I put it like this. Even though we're playing the Cleveland Browns, I can't feel bad for Cleveland Browns either, because y'all went out and got RG3. I understand y'all didn't have a quarterback, but it's RG3. You got the same RG3 that you did in Washington, and that didn't help any. It just didn't. So, let's talk about this, all right? First off, I want to start off with the offense. And no, I'm not going to talk about Carson Wentz yet. I know people talk about Carson Wentz, okay? I'm not going to talk about him just yet. I'm trying to save him for last, okay? All right? The offense. Receivers. For those who were concerned about our receivers, we talked about this before, about having two big type of receivers in the end zone, being able to jump up for the ball, use their vertical. As you can see, they can jump. So can we put that to rest now? Because we talked about that in the preseason, and people were worried that they couldn't do it, and we addressed it. But as you can see in the game, they did attempt to do those things, so they can jump. Not a problem, okay? So that's put the rest now. Also, running game. Now look, the running game wasn't spectacular. It wasn't, just the three-headed monster that so many people were used to at one point. No, we didn't have that, okay? But what we did have is that we had a solid running game that moved the chains. Granted, it didn't break for huge runs and touchdowns and all this type of stuff, but it still moved the chains so that we can keep it going, and, it built onto something bigger. You know what I mean? Whether it was passing or, dare I say, a trick play, I don't even want to go there. But the fact is, it was a solid running game. They did their job. That's what they need to do, all right? So, running game, I don't have a problem with, okay? Special teams. Yeah, special teams. I'm kind of disappointed in special teams. I am. Because, first off, our kicker sucks. He sucks. There's no reason. You know what? I'm not even going to, all right? He sucks. Our punter. Here's the problem I'm having right now, and this correlates with the offense, all right? We punted the ball about 5 times, But if you look where we punted the ball, it wasn't just always like in the back of our zone, because that's understandable if you got to punt the ball back there. Because our punter can punt. He has a pretty good leg on him. So I'm not worried about that. But when you get to a specific point, when you're on the field, and you end up having to punt, just missing that stuff, missing that first down, just missing it, or because of a penalty or a false start. Jason Peters, yeah. I'm just saying that it's one of those things where I don't like to see that. You know what I mean? I felt that we punted the ball in the situations that we were in a bit too much. You know what I mean? And that has to be corrected going into next week, especially since we have Chicago. Okay? Now, I want to talk about defense. Defense had a great game. They did. They had an amazing game. Defense, once again, was doing their job. But here's the problem with defense. There's just one part of defense that had a problem, all right? That was very lackluster. And that's when Cleveland, near the end of the first half, started building momentum. And in the defense, I don't know if they were tired or they just couldn't catch on, but then that's when they scored their touchdown. Now, mind you, the touchdown that they scored, we know that was off of pass interference. And if you look at the play again, technically it wasn't pass interference. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, if you looked at when he curled in, when he squared in, when he squared out, because he went outward, when he squared out, he bumped into Malcolm Jenkins first. Yeah, but guess what? That ball was not thrown for a while, because he squared out, and then like I said, it wasn't a hook, it was a square out. He bumped into Malcolm Jenkins, and then what did he do? He ran back about 7 yards on a comeback to catch the ball. And that's when Malcolm Jenkins disrupted the ball. They called the pass interference play late. It was a late flag, because that's to say, oh, well, back then he got bumped. Well, Malcolm Jenkins didn't know he was going that way. He was defending the outside. That's what he was doing, and the guy turned into his chest. That's what happened. So technically, it's not pass interference. You're not disrupting the receiver off the route. He didn't know he was going that way. But yet, when he came back, Malcolm Jenkins came from over the back and knocked down the ball, which he's allowed to do since it's on a comeback play. Okay? But refs got it wrong. They did. They got it wrong that time. However, I feel as though that's the only way they scored. Of course, they got a field goal. Afterwards, it really doesn't matter. But the fact is, that's how they got their momentum. And when they got that momentum, defense kind of laughed. Now, this is another thing I had a problem with, because when defense at that time had a problem, stopping that momentum, our offense went 3 and out. That's a problem. You're not giving your defense enough time to rest. However, throughout the rest of the game, I feel offense did a good job when it came to that. Now, I do want to talk about Carson Wentz. Let's get to this, shall we? All right. This kid, I told y'all during the draft, this kid he has a good ceiling on him. He's got an upside to him. Have I not said that? There were some people, whether it was radio personalities, fans, YouTubers, whatever, on Twitter, whatever, still had a lot of question marks. There were some who flat out hated that Carson Wentz was drafted. They were saying that this kid wouldn't be able to handle the huddle. And I was like, no, this kid, if you watch this stuff in college, and you've seen, even if you just watch the highlight package, all right, if you see what he can do, the way he can call audibles, the way he can read defenses, the way he plays, this kid has it. Now, of course, when they traded before Bradford, I should say, a lot of us were saying, give this kid time to adjust. He should be okay, especially since we didn't see a lot of him in the preseason. And then, what happened? Sam Bradford was traded. And when they said that Carson Wentz was going to be the starter, what did I say? All right, let's go. Let's go. We didn't see much of him, but let's go. That's fine. Okay. Because I know exactly what this guy could do due to the fact that you saw him in college. All right? That's why. That's it. That's all it comes down to. Now, understand that there's a lot of people who didn't see him, so it's understandable if you had some type of nerves about him, you didn't know what to get. And like I said last week, rookie quarterbacks are going to make rookie mistakes. They're going to. So you have to give them time to adjust. That's fine. Carson Wentz went out there and played like he wasn't a rookie. That's what he did. He went out there and played the way he was supposed to play. Now, of course, there were some times where the receivers dropped some passes, which really pissed me off. Because some of them were 5-yard passes. First pass of the game, Matthews dropped the ball. I'm like, are you serious? And then Ertz backed up. You know what I mean? Backed it up and, got him that catch back with that one-arm catch. It's ridiculous that you were dropping 5-yard passes. It's hard to see. It doesn't matter what team you root for. If you're watching that in the NFL, I can understand if it was overthrown or was thrown behind him, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, catch the ball. It's that simple. Catch the ball. But I have to say, Carson Wentz was poised in the pocket. He tried to get out of situations. He tried to check down. He did a number of things. If you're not watching how a quarterback plays football, Carson Wentz did what he needed to do to manage the game. He did what was right. And the thing is, he wasn't afraid to throw the ball downfield, which I love to see. That is one thing that I have to say. He went out there and he carved up the Cleveland Browns. That's what he did. And a lot of Browns fans were upset and said, well, look at our defense, look at our defense. I don't care what your defense looks like. That's the defense you have on the field. That's the only defense we can go with. You know what I mean? You can't keep saying what ifs. You got Hayden out there getting all hype. First off, he was so-called hurt, his ankle. Oh my God! Came back in the game, knocked down the ball from Jordan Matthews. Starts getting hyped. Now, mind you, it was off of a fumble because the ball was snapped badly. Carson Wentz had to run and try to run and retrieve the ball. He picks up the ball from off the ground, throws the ball, and then it's batted down. So of course, that'd have been a highlight if Matthews would have caught it. They'd been talking, they'd been praising Wentz, but Hayden's like, yeah, I knocked down the ball. And then the next play after, Jordan Matthews gets you again and burns you. I'm trying to figure out why Hayden is so hype off one play, and the next play he gets burned. But he gave up a touchdown also in the game. So, look, the Cleveland defense, while they kind of settled in almost near the end of the first half, they kind of fell back apart once the Eagles, I should say. I keep saying we. You know I want to say we. But the Eagles adjusted in the second half. That's how it happened. All right? Both teams made adjustments the way they needed to make. All right? So the Eagles, I'm not surprised that they won this game. I shouldn't even say I'm surprised the way Carson Wentz played. But it was very, how can I put this, pleasant to see the way he handled that. And I have to say that the kid, he played well. So my game ball this week. Game ball goes to the kid, Carson Wentz. He deserves it. Deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. You've got to be kidding. And defense as well. Defense played a hell of a game because outside of that lapse, near the end of the first half, defense was solid. Defense didn't really give up much. There was times where they almost gave up a big play. For those who don't talk about Terrell Pryor, when he hooked in, if he'd have caught the ball straight and then just took off, he'd have scored a touchdown. But instead, he was bobbling and bobbling, and then he caught it. By the time he caught the ball, defense was on him. So that was on him. If he'd have caught it straight and just turned upfield, he'd have been gone. So, defense, even so, that still wouldn't have given them enough points to win the game, of course, because we won 29-10. So, yeah, and of course the safety, RG3, kicking the ball. Hilarious to watch him kick that ball. I understand that he was trying to avoid a touchdown, but hey, we was getting points out of that regardless. You know what I mean? RG3, again, he's not the quarterback. Look, he's not a passing quarterback. He's not. And I say that because he can't stay in the pocket. He holds the ball too long. He's looking. Your offensive line can't sit there and hold those guys all day, especially our guys. Our defense is pretty tenacious when it comes to that. So for you to think that the Cleveland Browns were going to be able to handle that, no, they just weren't going to be able to. RG3 should have known better. He's looking down. Look, I understand you want to use your legs as well, but when you use your legs and you run, expect to get hit. Expect it. You can't go and run to the, as soon as you're touched in your back. Oh my God, ref, did you see that? He touched me. Don't start complaining. Don't start complaining. No, that's not how it works. The fact is, RG3 has to understand that he is limited now since defenses have adjusted to his style of play. Now, he's got to adapt his style of football. And then we saw on the sidelines near the end of the game, McCown is just yelling. I mean, he wants in the game. He's got his helmet on. He's yelling. RG3 doesn't because, he took that big hit and he looks like he's dinged up. McCown wants in. He wants to be the leader. He wants to be the guy. He wants in the game. And it goes to show, and they didn't bring him in. The announcers were saying it too. They're like, yo, why is McCown not in the game right now? Like they were saying, the announcers were addressing this, on air. And I'm like, wow. Like I didn't expect them, you see it on the sidelines and they're arguing and everything, but I didn't expect the announcers to actually address it, But it just goes to show you, at this point, week 1 for the Cleveland Browns, already McCown's like, put me in. I've seen enough. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to see what happens in the future with the Cleveland Browns, week by week. But the Eagles looked really well. Now, I'll put it like this. Great game. A lot of people still aren't going to give us our credit because we played the Cleveland Browns. Well, you played the Browns, don't get all hyped. I'll put it like this. It's okay to celebrate. Celebrate. Because as far as I'm concerned, hey, a lot of people, because they've counted the Eagles out and there was a lot of question marks, they didn't expect us to win this game. I personally expected us to win this game. Just like next week we play Chicago. I expect us to win against Chicago. That's right. I think we're having a hell of a game against Chicago. I think it should be a good fought game, especially a nighttime game too, 8:30. Whew, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But when you have this hype surrounded by Carson Wentz, and I say hype because at first everyone had question marks, and a lot of people was like I said, they don't like they don't like question marks. They don't like Carson Wentz, or those who said I don't like Doug Peterson. And now after game 1, what are we seeing? Carson Wentz, my boy. I like Doug Peterson. All of a sudden, it's one game. Keep it in perspective. And you know what? I almost feel as though that these people are taking cues from the media now. This is why I don't call them real fans. Because if you listen to the media of what happened yesterday, and for those who saw on Twitter, ABC is already asking you how many games are the Eagles going to win under Carson Wentz. Mind you, when they asked this question, it wasn't even the end of the first half of the game. It is way too early to be having these type of predictions or asking people. It's absolutely stupid. If you have a hard number already, all right, one game in, mind you, at the time this was asked, it was only half. It wasn't even halftime yet. So it wasn't even half a game in the first season. First game of the season, not even the half of a rookie quarterback's game of his career, and you're already asking how many games is he going to win. If you have a hard number already and you're serious about it, then you're a fucking idiot. It's that simple. At this point, like I said, he's a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks are going to make rookie mistakes down the road. It's going to happen. You know what that means? That means you take it a game at a time. The same way with Doug Peterson. Oh, I hate Doug Peterson. Now, people, I love this coaching style. Yeah, we're going to do great. It's one game. See how he does against other coaches. You have to understand that you cannot sit here and predict an entire body of work off of one fucking game, let alone during this time this shit happened, was not even one half of the game. It's just absolutely disgusting. The media fishing, the fans eating it up. You've got to be kidding me. Look, like I said, celebrate, be happy, keep this thing in perspective. That's what you need to do. One game at a time, prepare appropriately. That's all you have to do. Carson Wentz looked great. Doesn't mean he's going to look great next week. Some people are already predicting he's going to fail. Rookie's not going to do well, against the Bears. I'm thinking he's going to do pretty well against the Bears. We will see. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it comes down to. You cannot sit here and say we're going to go this and this already. Whether how many games we win or how many games we lose, we do not know. One game. Relax. I just said this last week, didn't I? Relax and have fun. Already the idiots are coming out of the woodwork. Jesus Christ. Wentz is my boy, though. Doug Peterson is my boy, though. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't. It's absolutely disgusting. But like I said, the NFL, had a great week this week. They did. Absolutely great. So my hat's off to the NFL. Hats off to the Eagles. It is Monday, so I would suggest since the Eagles won, everybody go get their Dunkin' Donuts. I would suggest that since it's free coffee, right? So everyone's going to be happy about that. Like I said, we will see what happens next week. They have a good, like I said, since they play late on Sunday, that is more than enough time. This is not a short week, so we have more than enough time to prepare for the Chicago Bears and see what will happen then, okay? So, night game. And you know, I have to also say this with Eagles fans, okay? I've noticed a lot of them during the first game, I understand it's week one. People are nervous, they're hype and everything. But I heard once again that people are scared. Why are you scared? It's a football game. I can understand if you have some nerves because you're excited. That's fine. You're excited. Yeah, you want to see what's going to happen. It's the first home game, first game of the season, home game. Yeah, everyone's excited. Everyone's doing what they need to do. You know, try to scramble down to the game. For those who did not see the traffic going in from New Jersey to the Walt Whitman Bridge trying to get over to the Eagles game, just slammed, packed. You couldn't even get past it. It was crazy. All right, you were better off going down to Ben Franklin and then driving your way around. You pretty much were. It was slammed. So it goes to show you that this is one of those things, once again, in the traffic on the way back. Jesus Christ, don't even get me started on that. Like, it's one of those things that goes to show you that, you know, Eagles fans, you have to prepare. Whether you're going to the game, whether you're going to sit at home and watch it, always prepare appropriately. And make sure that you're going to root on your team. If you're always going to have this negative outlook on your team, or we going to go this much, we only going to win this many games, you know what I mean, and we're going to be, you know, under the gun every time, or behind the gun every time, well then, why are you watching? Why are you watching? Have fun. Like I said, I can go out right now on the street. Yo, what you think about them Eagles? Man, it's cool. We won yesterday, but, you know, we'll take a game at a time. It's cool. We're going to wait till Sunday to see what happens. That's how Eagles fans are. They going to chill. God, these people are so fucking overreactive. I don't understand it. Like, who let these people in? Seriously. Anyways, let's move on. I still want to talk about football. That's right. But football overseas. That's right. We're going to talk about Chelsea. We will. But, you know, I don't understand what's been going on in the EPL as of late. And I say soccer fans in general, you have to understand that right now you're about to hold this L. Again, this is 2 weeks in a row now where you are doing this consistent diving. It's absolutely ridiculous, man.
And everyone can see your anger is misplaced. And I'm gonna tell you, don't hate me cause I get attention.
Get fined. I am so sick and tired of seeing this. Look, when I see egregious flops, get fined. It's that simple. I don't care what team you represent. I don't care if you're even on my team. Now, like, guess what? Get fined. Because it hurts the game so damn much. It does. You can't tell me it doesn't. All right? It's ridiculous. All right? But speaking of my team, Chelsea, I guess we could talk about that first before I talk about Chelsea. All right? Because I'm very disappointed in them. Okay? What happened over the weekend. I do need to talk about one particular team, or should I say two, because they matched up. You know, I told you I wanted to see it. Man U versus Manchester City. That's right, the derby. Now, I have to talk about this. Jose Mourinho. Did your team lose? Did they lose? Did they lose? Oh, they lost. Oh, Jose, they lost. Yeah, you lost, didn't you? And I put it like this. For every door that was open for you, and I put it like this, the goalkeeper for Manchester City, I'm surprised he hasn't been strung up yet. Because the way he played, he was trying to give the damn game away to Manchester United. He was. There were so many opportunities to score, or so many mistakes he made where Manchester United could have scored and won this game. They didn't. So, it's on Manchester United. I will say this. Jose Mourinho did shake hands at the end, okay? Which, you know, that's one thing. But when you kept talking, and that's what you did, Jose. You just keep talking and talking and talking and talking about how you're going to win this. And you lost. Okay, you lost. So, can we please stop this talk about how you were going to win it all? Now, granted, he didn't say they were going to go undefeated. He didn't. Anybody who knows Jose Mourinho, you know the worst thing that could happen to him is losing. Tying, that's one thing, okay? Because we've seen that in the past, all right? He'll win and tie, because when he was with Chelsea, you know, it was a record. They haven't lost a game in X amount of time, blah, blah. Yeah, because they were getting ties and, and draws, and they weren't worried about losing. So Jose takes great pride in not losing. And for him to lose sends a message. Now, put it like this. If you want to see real meltdown, let Manchester United lose a couple in a row. Then you'll really see it happen. All right? I'm just letting you know. Man U fans, this is something that this man does. It is. I mean, as you can see the moves that he's made, they're saying, hey, Here's the keys to the, to the classic card, Jose. Here's all the money you need. Go get your players. If he's going to use all this money and go get his players and still not win, it's going to be a problem. He's going to have a fit. I'm telling you, it will be a tantrum. You saw it last season when he was with Chelsea until he was fired. You will see it this season if Manchester United loses a number of games in a row. I'm just letting you know that right now. All right? Now let's move on to Chelsea. Very, very disappointed in them because you're playing Swansea City, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, you should be able to win this. Now, mind you, we got points out of it because we drawed. We got points. Okay, fine. But this was a winnable game. It should have been a winnable game. We should have won with no problem. Now, Diego Costa. A lot of people have been giving Diego Costa a lot of shit because of the way he's played in the previous 4 games. All right? But you have to understand, he has 4 goals within these 4 games. Okay? So regardless of his antics, because a lot of people thought in the first 2 games he should have been sent off. I believe was it the first game, second game? I had said it too. I was like, yo, he should be sent off for that because when he ran to the goalkeeper. So yeah, I can understand one of those games, but he comes back with a vengeance every time, and he scores, goals. He almost had a hat trick this game against Swansea City. If he had that goalkeeper dead to rights off that kick from Terry, and he just missed. He simply missed. I don't know, and I'm thinking to myself, how do you miss that close? How do you miss that? Goalkeeper didn't even see him. How do you miss that close? But he missed. He had already put in 2 goals. Like, you have to understand. He's the one who has put the team on his back against Swansea City. He scored the first goal in the first 18 minutes, and then, of course, for this weird fucking stretch, all right, Swansea City gets the, they go up 2, which was just like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened here? It happened so quickly, it was like a blur, and I was dumbfounded. I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? And then Diego Costa, again, bicycle kick, comes back to tie the game. And you have to understand, this guy was doing what he needed to do. Hazard tried. Oscar, this game, at least Oscar, he was kind of, he just disappeared. I don't know where the hell he was. You know what I mean? For some reason, for me, it just felt like this game, they did try hard. Chelsea did try hard. But the result was just not there. And what I mean by this, like I said, this game was a winnable game. We should have won with no problem. I want you to see the stats on this game, because this is exactly what it looked like when it came to shots on goal, time of possession, all that good stuff. And yet we still ended up in a draw. And more shots, more attempts on goal, as you can see, chances. Then we had less fouls than Swansea City, and we had better time of possession. So clearly we should have won this game, given by the stats, but of course we didn't. There was just some freak things that happened. We're not even going to talk about the one goal with Swansea City where they got it. It was a foul. It was a foul, and yet they didn't call it. I'm like, are you serious? And that's how they scored the one goal. But whatever, okay? It is what it is. You can't do anything about it now. I still feel as though Chelsea is on the right path to being back to the top. They are. They are playing the way they need to play. I'm not going to let this game get the best of me. I'm really not, because listen, we should have won it. It just, for me, it was disappointing to see the result. However, I am still proud that they played as hard as they did. And they did come back. I mean, let's be honest, they could have lost that game. They could have. And they came back and they still fought hard. So I will say that even though I'm disappointed, I'm still proud of the team for fighting back. I know, the common sense part of me is going to say, well, they shouldn't have been they shouldn't have been in that, in that position in the first place. But that's not the point. The point is they still fought hard. They got their points. I am disappointed they didn't win, though. I am. Next week, Liverpool. Yeah, coming for you. Now, I'll put it like this. I want to move on, and I want to talk about, again, week 3. I don't know what's going on with you idiots. I really don't. And I call you idiots because you're still crying and you're still complaining. After everything that's been fucking explained about kneeling, you're still complaining about this. And, you Patriots, I have to ask you, okay, because that's your patriotic fans, and you can't stand it. Your feels, and I keep telling you, it's not about how you feel. It's not about how you feel, all right? It's not about you. But you don't want to hear that. No, it's always about you, right? You're self-centered. I told you, it's about other people, that what's going on in this world right now. You don't want to hear that. So, Patriots, since you want to play this Patriot card all the time now, because that's all I see now, America, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I keep seeing that now, okay? So here's a question. Why aren't you watching the Rio Paralympics? That's what I'm wondering. If you're so hardcore American, and why aren't you supporting the Paralympics where the U.S. is actually winning? Because for those who didn't see last night, all right, track and field for the blind, the U.S. take gold. And that was very interesting to watch because for those who don't know how track and field for the blind works, they actually have an elite athlete who's blind running. There's nothing wrong with his limbs or anything like that. He's just blind, okay? They also had other ones who had no arms and stuff like that. But he is partnered with another elite sprinter. That's right. And they have to hold it. They have to hold hands pretty much. And what they do is they run at the same pace. And they're running at such a high pace. This is not just, oh, well, he's blind and we can trot and whoever gets there is the best. No. These guys are running fast as hell. So I put it like this. If someone trips and falls, someone's going to get hurt. Just like any other sprint that you've seen, any track and field that you've seen, who people who aren't blind. They're running at a high pace. So for anybody who wants to say, well, the Paralympics, isn't as good as the regular Olympics, you don't know what the fuck you're missing. You don't. I don't understand. Here's the thing, because like I said, you want to act like you're patriotic. I didn't see all those, all you patriots on Twitter. I didn't see any of you talking about the Paralympics. I didn't see any of you, go America like you did with the regular Olympics. No, you didn't do that. Even though these men and women are still representing our country, you don't give a shit. You pick and choose when to fucking care. Football player kneels on the ground. Oh, my flag. All this other shit, right? The Olympics goes on, regular Olympics. Oh, go USA. Oh, look at Phelps go. Paralympics helping? Guess what? They go for gold medals too. You don't say shit, do you? Not a damn peep fucking crickets. It's amazing how you pick and choose when to be a patriot and when it fits your fucking narrative. Like I said, a lot of you got a lot of growing up to do. I see you. I do. I fucking see you. So you can keep doing that shit all you want online, because I see all y'all doing it, alright? I do. Don't think I don't. But you're full of shit. And I'm calling your card on it. Once again, you've been explained about the situation, and yet you still want to carry on like a bunch of fucking idiots. For those who did not see ESPN Outside the Lines, they absolutely destroyed this narrative about how Colin Kaepernick or any other player who's doing this is being unpatriotic. Rapinoe, not too long ago, women's soccer, yeah, she took a knee. And people got upset with her. A lot of these athletes have come out and said and explained to you why this is happening. It's amazing how you want to sit here and say, these athletes are great, these are role models, and just last week you saw Malcolm Jenkins from the Eagles come out and say something, and actually doing something, this is what I mean, actually doing something with it because it spreads awareness. So you would build a bridge within those communities and try to help, instead of sitting on your ass on Twitter and saying, my flag. What? The Miami Dolphins, they kneel. Oh, get them out of here. The Seattle Seahawks are talking about doing it. Get them out of here. It's easier to make people leave instead of addressing the situation head on and fixing it, isn't it? And you people want to call yourselves men? You're a bunch of fucking children. And I don't care if you get mad at me. Listen, you got mad at me last time too. I don't give a shit. The fact is, what are you doing? Other than sitting here saying, my flag, what America means to me. And you're not realizing, once again, it's not about you. Not everything is about you. Unfucking real. Let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about the rematch I want to talk about that happened on Friday. Like I said, I was looking forward to it. Sergio Mora versus Jacobs. Now, for those who did not see this matchup, wow, this was quite a fight. And I say this because, remember, the first fight, Jacobs was very arrogant towards Sergio Mora. Remember, he knocked down Sergio Mora, then Mora knocked down Jacobs, and remember, Mora broke his leg, in the ring, and they had to have a rematch. And, during that time, where, they talked to Jacobs, in the interview after the fight, he was like, oh, I'd have won anyway, and blah. He was very arrogant, very cocky. Well, time has passed, it's been about a year. And this time around, actually, Jacobs was very professional. Now, granted, of course, the trash talking is going to happen, before the fight because they're trying to sell the fight. That's all it is. But during the fight, he was very professional. It was actually Sergio Mora who wasn't professional during this fight. There's times during the break where the ref's trying to break him, he's got him in a headlock, and he's punching him in the headlock and stuff like that. Very unprofessional of Mora, you know what I mean? Jacobs, stands back and is like, what's going on here? There was a number of times Jacobs, during the break, stood back and was like, what the hell are you doing? This is a professional fight. There's actually one time during the fight where Jacobs hit Mora low blow, and he absolutely apologized. He put his glove out to tap him, because he didn't mean it. So a lot of growth has happened with Jacobs. You know what I mean? A lot of maturity has happened, and he showed a lot of professionalism in the ring. Now, when it came to fighting, all right, Sergio Mora started off very, very slick, very shadow box-esque, should I say, trying to figure out a way to fight Jacobs. You know, he kept switching from orthodox to southpaw, but when he was southpaw, he was still fighting, you know, as an orthodox fighter would. It wasn't just, I'm like, for example, when people see southpaws, they always think that Rocky syndrome, where they can't throw that jab, and they just throw lunging hooks and things like that. Southpaws have upgraded from there. You have to understand. Just like they're pretty much a mirror these days of an orthodox boxer. So they do have a jab, they do have a straight, they have all the tools, except they fight the other way. That's all it is. Alright? So Mora was constantly switching, and you would see him. He'd do like this, then turn this way, then he'd turn this way, and he'd turn this way. He was just trying to figure out angles to, you know, to try and pick off, you know, Jacobs. Now, in Jacobs' case, Jacobs would just stand there. He was actually squared up a lot in this fight. So he would just stay there squared up like this, and he was waiting. Jacobs wanted to throw power, where Mora was trying to, you know, touch and speed. He was trying to get points and beat Jacobs off of just boxing as opposed to trying to punish him unless the time came. And people have to understand it. That's the difference between two different styles of boxing. When people are trying to box, they're not trying to go for the knockout. Look, everybody wants a knockout, right? But those type of boxers, and you have to understand, you have to be very patient. If the opportunity comes up, then you do it. If not, you still stay sound in your game plan, and you just box. You try to win off points. That is the game. Hit and not get hit. That's the game of boxing. Okay? Then you had Jacobs, who was like, I'm going to sit here and take these punches. I'm going to cut off the ring. I'm going to get close to you. And I'm going to fucking punish you with some serious power. And that's what it was. So you had Mora, who was moving around a lot and trying to do these picking off shots from a distance until Jacobs would close the distance and then would throw a flurry of punches, and then Mora would slide away, and then they reset. And that's pretty much how the whole fight went. However, as the fight went on, Mora was knocked down consistently, time and time and time again. At one point, there was a slip at one point, but the ref called it a knockdown. I was like, okay, that's not going to look good for Mora. However, the rest of those punches, the rest of those knockdowns were solid from Jacobs, and he was knocking down Mora. I think he knocked down Mora about what? The entire fight, about 5 times? 5, 6 times around there? He knocked him down? So, and they had to stop the fight. They had to. Mora had nothing left in the tank. He didn't. All right? So, as far as I'm concerned, Jacobs deserved to win. He did. Okay? And like I said, last time I wasn't for Jacobs winning because of the arrogance that he showed, because there wasn't enough proof for him to act that way. This time around, when he beat Mora, you know, he's a great fighter. He knows how to sell a fight. Like, they actually talked. They shook hands. They hugged and everything. Like, it was very professional, because that's how fighters act. The only time that you don't see fighters, even like I said, even when fighters don't like each other, by the time you went 10, 12 rounds with them, y'all still go to hug and say good fight because you got it out of your system. You know what I mean? That's how it is. The only people who hold grudges that much during fights are idiots who don't know how to fight game is. So pretty much your everyday man who wants to fight because they're angry. That's what it is. But when you're in that ring and you're fighting 3, 4 times a day, when you're sparring with people on an everyday basis, and then by the time you get to an actual fight, it's a formality. It's nothing. It's just like going to work. It's nothing. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it was very professional of Jacobs, you know, to act that way. You know, that's what we want to see. We want to see maturity. We want to see growth. Sergio Mora made no excuses for all the knockdowns this time around. So even though during the fight he was like, "Oh, I got in the back of my head. Oh, I slipped." He was just trying to explain what was going on. He felt as though he shouldn't have been knocked down. But by the end of it all, when they were talking to each other, Mora acknowledged that you can't say anything. He said, you know, you're a great fighter. And that's what you want to see. You want to see some type of closure, some type of professionalism. You know what I mean? Some type, it's not even just professionalism, like I said, maturity. That's what you want to see. Now, Jacobs went on to say afterwards that he wants to fight Triple G. Which I don't think you should fight Triple G. I don't think you should, Jacobs. But, for those who don't know, Triple G fought Kell Brook. Kell Brook, what can you do? Kell Brook took him as far as he could. They won, 5 rounds? Kell Brook, I want to give credit more to Kell Brook than Triple G, because that was Triple G's toughest fight to date. And the reason I want to give Kell Brook credit is because Kell Brook had to move up 2 weight classes to take this fight. That's right. He had to move up 2 weight classes. So, in this short notice, remember, Triple G was supposed to fight another opponent, and that deal fell through. So Kell Brook was like, okay, I'll take it. You know what I mean? So it was short notice for Kell Brook. Had to go up 2 weight classes, and then have to get beat up like that. I can't take anything away from Kell Brook. He's tough as nails. He just is. The same guy who fought Sean Porter, and beat Sean Porter. He's tough as nails. So I have to give Kell Brook his credit more than Triple G. Triple G did what Triple G does best. You know what I mean? That's what he did. So as far as I'm concerned, if Jacobs thinks Jacobs has power, I don't think he has the power that Triple G has. But if they're going to have this fight, this is going to be one where they're going to stand in one spot and throw at each other. Because that's what Jacobs loves to do, and that's what Triple G loves to do. So, I don't think that Jacobs should take the fight, but, hey, if they're going to have it, let them have it. And this is what I understand about fans on Twitter, because Jacobs said, after the fight on Friday, that he wants to face Triple G. That's the second time he has said that. But fans on Twitter went after Jacobs, was like, you ducking Triple G, you ducking Triple G. How is he ducking Triple G if he called him out twice already and says he wants this fight? I don't understand this. Anyways, let's move on to the UFC. Yeah, last bit. UFC, CM Punk versus Mickey Gall is all I'm going to talk about, because the other fights, let's be honest here, they ended exactly how we all figured they were going to end. Except Jessica Ai versus Besh Correia. That was kind of weird. That was a weird fight, and a lot of people were very upset that Correia won, and she was celebrating and everything. Jessica Ai is a hell of a fighter. Anyone who doesn't know Jessica Ai, please get to know her striking game. She is a hell of a fighter, all right? And I think the fans really hated it much because she was from Cleveland, I guess it was, and she was a Cleveland girl, so the fans booed. What can you do? You know what I mean? But it was a hell of a fight. It was. Besh Correia really had established her jab in that fight. She really did. But Jessica Ai really had that overhand right going for her. She just did. But what can you do? Anyways, I want to talk about CM Punk, because the fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. There's not much to it because he got beat up so damn fast. So, CM Punk gets out there. He gets taken down. Mickey Gall is in the side. He's in the in side mount. This is what I'm not understanding. Okay, CM Punk, you should be able to recognize when someone has you in side mount. So when Mickey Gall goes from side mount to full mount, you should be able to bump and roll. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, when you bump and roll, you turn. He's going to shift over. When he's shifting over his momentum, you turn, you arc your back, you turn your neck, and you bump and roll, use your hip, and you turn him over. So as soon as he went for full mount, that bump and roll would have rolled him on his back, and you'd have been on top for dominant mount. Now, here's the thing. You missed that, which means you missed the chance to escape. Okay? That's one. During this I don't want to call him destroy. He was grounding and pounding the shit out of you. You're doing like this. You're covering up. I'm thinking to myself, you're not doing anything to help your situation. You turn your back to Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall goes for the rear naked choke. Now, before Mickey Gall has the entire rear naked choke on, you once again did not take advantage of a submission. For those who know what I'm talking about, when a person goes for a rear naked choke and they try to dig their hips in, wrap their legs around your back, around your body, and they have their legs out like this. Their feet are sitting out like this, all right? You have a chance. If your foot's sitting out like this, you can actually put your leg over that and bend it this way and turn. Guess what? Automatic submission. You could have did that, but you didn't. That's how you defend the bottom half of hooks when it comes to the rear naked choke. That's why they always teach you when you're going to do a submission and you're going to dig your hooks in, make sure it's done the correct way so that you don't get submitted off the counter. Okay? For those who did not know that. Now, I will say this. He's fighting up top, and you're fighting, and all he's doing is squeezing with his legs. So he's taking the air out of you, all right? And he's rolling you. CM Punk, you're not ready for this. You're just not. Dana White said maybe it's time for you to go fight somewhere else. I agree. You need to get some experience. You have a lot of work to do. You missed a number of cues on how to get away from side mount to full mount, to get away from a submission. It's not just, if I hold this guy's arm, he can't submit me, even though he's punching me in the head, to disrupt me holding him. I'm just going to hold him and hope that, the time runs, the round is over so that I can get out of it. Or he'll get tired and I can make a move. You can't wait for that. You can't. You should know. You have to stay calm. You have to stay poised. Granted, someone's punching you in the face. I get it. But like I said, people who do this every day, they're used to being punched in the face. So they stay calm. They stay collective. They try and find a way out. You are not prepared just yet to fight. You're not. You aren't. You got beat up. It was actually pretty embarrassing. It was. And it's not just about the way you performed. It's how you couldn't notice certain techniques. You didn't notice it. I understand it's in the heat of the moment. You're not seeing it. But for a lot of us who do this stuff, you can't tell me that you didn't see it unless you weren't taught it. Unless you weren't sitting at home. And you have to understand, jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's a completely different monster. And you have to... We're not even talking about striking, all right? It's a completely different monster. If you're not going to the classes, if you're not rolling for hours, and then go home and watch tape. And when I mean watching tape, Go watch other fighters. Seriously, when UFC comes on, you think I'm just sitting there like, oh, I just want to be entertained. No, I'm actually looking at the techniques. Because you're constantly analyzing. You're constantly trying to break it down. You're constantly saying, what can I do to make myself better? Regardless of who you're watching. So if you're going to a fight, oh, the camera's on me. Hey, what's going on? No. Fuck that. Watch the fight. Watch the technical parts of it. It's not just about entertainment. Especially if you're in this sport. CM Punk has a lot of learning to do. He does. If I'm CM Punk, I stay off social media for a while. You get your training back up. Hell, it's Monday. Look, your fight ended on Saturday. You should have been back in the facility on Sunday. Sunday morning, first one there. I want to learn more. Monday morning, first one there. I want to learn more. That's the reaction you should have. Especially if you lose. You want to become better. So that's the type of drive you need to have. If you went home afterwards, it was like, all right, my face is a mess. I just want to go home and act like this didn't happen or it's over with. No. It's not how it works. You want to get back in that ring, in that gym, that octagon, whatever. You want to get back in there as soon as possible so that you can get better. That's the type of drive you need to have. If you're not having that type of drive, well then you need to go chill. Maybe MMA isn't for you. Like I said before, maybe it's best he does catch wrestling or jiu-jitsu tournaments. Maybe. And let him learn more and more. He should stay off social media for a while. When you lose that quickly, that fast, you should know everyone's going to jump all over you on your Twitter. I do not want to hear, well, you know what? I can beat you up. I don't want to hear that. You don't. There's no reason to get into it with fans anymore. Because that's what you've been doing for the past year or so. Constantly getting on people. People were calling you out during your interviews, like in the stands. Oh, you're not part of UFC, it doesn't matter. Well, obviously you don't need to be part of UFC either. You shouldn't be. You have a lot of work to do. That's why I never understood during the entire time of your little special, the evolution of Punk. They were like, it's now or never. I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not now or never. It's not. He's not ready. Whatever. Anybody could have saw that, but whatever. I will give Punk credit for at least getting into the octagon. I'll give him that. Because people don't understand, it takes a lot of heart to get in the ring, to get in the octagon, or whatever, to get on those mats and compete. It does. Not everyone has it. For him to try, like I said, this is the test to see where he'll go from here. This is to tell you if he wants to be here or not, depending on his reaction to his loss. Anyways, I'm done. Yeah, I think it's good for enough for a week. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.